on the topic of theobromine, I'd like to just mention these supposed lecherous qualities that people are attributing to it. So they're saying it's a stimulant. So yes, it's a stimulant. Is that a bad thing? If a food is a depressant, is that a bad thing? When we look at, again, things from the holistic type of broad spectrum point of view, the way that Chinese medicine and Ayurveda looks at all foods is they look at whether it's yin or yang, and this can be likened to polar opposites. So technically speaking, all food has an ability to be stimulating or depressing. In general, fats have a depressing type of reaction to the body, whereas sugars have a stimulating effect on the body. Or you could look at it as fasting. Not eating anything is depressing to the body, and eating is stimulating. But that can also be the reverse for some people. They find eating certain foods makes them heavy and feel depressed. Not necessarily in the emotional point of view, but just in terms of their energetic ability to be in the world. So if a food has a stimulating quality, we have to again look at the science as to what it's doing to the body. Is it doing anything bad to the body if it's a stimulant? With the case of theobromine, I have yet to see the evidence for that. Yes, there's individual cases of tremors and these uneasy feelings, but again, this is due to the fact that a lot of people aren't healthy. They have imbalanced constitutions. So if they're being pushed further out of balance from their constitution by cacao, it does not mean cacao's wrong. It means that their constitution's wrong, and that's where they need to focus their time and energy in correcting. Now, how about some of the confirmed positive characteristics of theobromine? There are actually quite a few. Theobromine happens to kill bacteria, a type of bacteria called Streptococci mutans. This is one of the primary bacteria colonies that grow in the mouth that cause cavities. So eating chocolate, if it's in its state where it's dark or raw and not combined with sugars or dairy, it's actually going to be able to make our mouth healthier, not worse off. Theobromine is not a nervous system stimulant the way caffeine is. And I'm not a fan of caffeine per se. I don't consume caffeine myself. Cacao has an extremely small amount of caffeine. The amount of caffeine in the typical dose of chocolate is the equivalent to a cup of decaffeinated coffee. That's really not much at all. In some varieties of cacao, there's none at all. So these very minute amounts of caffeine really have no effect on the body. It's the theobromine that people are getting a stimulating effect from. And it's actually a cardiovascular stimulant. It's not a stimulant to the nervous system, which often causes more problems to people than cardiovascular stimulants. So an opening up of the arteries, which is the cardiovascular stimulant component, it actually opens up the heart. It allows more blood flow. It lowers blood pressure by doing this. It gets more blood flow to the lungs expand. It actually is very effective for as an alternative treatment for asthmatic conditions. And the fact that it opens up capillaries and blood flow in the digestive tract, it actually increases nutrient uptake and phytochemical uptake in the digestive tract. So this means that whatever you're consuming with cacao, cacao happens to potentiate those other qualities in these other foods and herbs that we take with it. So it actually increases your body's ability to utilize and absorb phytochemicals, antioxidants, specialized hormones and neurotransmitters that are in raw living food that we all love and enjoy about these foods and superfoods, super herbs, etc. So again, people also talk about there being an addictive quality to theobromine. Now, my personal experience has been that I have a very strong will. I've developed my character and my personality to be able to do the things I want to do in life. So if someone had an extraordinarily weak will and they were eating a specific food they love, yes, there's a potential for addiction. Is that because of a chemical nature in that food? Or is it because the food actually tastes good and has a certain effect on their palate, which is connected to their brain, and they get good feelings with a good taste? I would question that idea of theobromine being addictive. There's no evidence for it being physically addictive. Phytochemicals that cause physical addiction in the body are actually extremely rare in the plant kingdom. You have things like opium and heroin and morphine that are physically addictive. If you go off them after having been on them for a while, you can actually get some pretty serious physical effects in your body from going off them. People have died from suddenly going cold turkey when they're on an extremely high heroin binge. Nicotine is also very physically addictive, and people, when they drop smoking cold turkey, some people have an extremely hard time with it, and they get all sorts of tremors and headaches and all these problems, which it's really hard to know whether this is their body starting to detox the products that they've been, and chemicals and toxins they've been putting into their body, and what parts of this are actually physical addiction. But there is evidence to support the fact that there's physical addiction with cigarettes. But with chocolate, there's no evidence for physical addiction. There's the mental addiction component because it's a tasty food. It has certain things in it that make you feel good. What's known as anandamide, the bliss chemical, the PEA, which is phenethylamine, and these things are actually very beneficial to the body. And also the high magnesium content. When you suddenly take those things away and you're not getting them from other sources, your body might go, hey, where's these beneficial things to help us do our job? But that doesn't mean that the thing that had those things in it is bad because it's your body's asking for more of it. Right now, I would like it if you're watching this video and you're skeptical about the things I'm saying, I would like you to look up in a separate window with this video playing. You can just listen to my voice, open a new window, and search, or rather type in the URL bar, pubmed.com, pubmed.com. Now, once that screen comes up, in the search box, you can search a very large archive of scientific research. And just enter the words chocolate in there, and you'll get a lot of results. Now, go through those results and try and find one single article about specifically dark chocolate, not the chocolate with additives like sugar and dairy, that has a negative view of chocolate. You won't be able to find it. I've looked. I can't find anything that's saying anything bad about it. That actually is a very well done study. Now, of course, there are components in processed chocolate that people have found affect them differently than in raw cacao. In processed chocolate, you have certain fats that become rancid, omega-6 fatty acids, that get denatured by the heating process. And yes, if you're taking these into your body and you happen to have a very pure body system, you're actually going to have a bit of a reaction to that. And then, of course, there are other factors within chocolate that get altered by heating, and these are often the things causing the negative effects for people. It's not, if you take raw cacao, it's very unlikely, if you have a pure product, that's going to be happening. Now, of course, people also talk about mold contamination of raw cacao, and raw cacao not actually being raw in the first place, that it's actually being heated by some of these companies. And yes, there has been some problems in the industry at certain points. I do know that this emerging company, that I'm not going to name names because I like to stay very neutral, but there is a company out there that is very trustworthy. They have exposed the industry problems, and they're remedying that by actually providing a truly raw product. And if you were to sample this product, you know there's actually quite a difference from perhaps some of the lower quality so-called cacao that you've had. So to say the entire industry is all heated and all processed and there's no way that you can get truly raw cacao is BS. It's a belief system. That's how I like to use that word, BS. So just because you've had one interaction with someone that happens to say, yeah, actually, I've been down in the area where they pick the cacao pods and they're actually heating them, well, that's just in one spot. Have you gone around to every single farm and looked at the way the machinery is working and found that out for yourself? No, you probably haven't. But yes, there are companies that are stepping up to the plate and providing much higher quality products now.